when those things are for another. And in my view, primarily for another, where our benefit is secondary. You can't have equal. There's no such thing as equal. Because at one point, one of those things will have to be sacrificed for the other. And do you sacrifice your spouse's love so that you can stay in love? Or do you sacrifice your comfort? Do you sacrifice your girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse's comfort so that you can be better? Or do you sacrifice your comfort so they can feel better? It's obvious. Well, it's the same here. It's the same analogy, which is I choose to sacrifice my happiness, my joy, my comfort, my Lamborghini in this moment, not forever, but in this moment, for you, my employee, for you, my friend, you know? I will delay so that you can have. And that's where the joy and love of business, relationships, friendships come from, you know? There's a great irony in all of this, which is to sacrifice for another really is the most beautiful thing we can ever do. I mean, that's kind of what love is. It's sacrificing for another. And all of these things, whether it's learning to be a better communicator, learning mindfulness or meditation, being in shape, if you can translate those things in for another, all of those things start to have a higher purpose.
In the case of health, doing it for another, you're saying that it would be so that I can be here longer for my family, would be a much more joyful, if I had children, for example.
Sure. As long as it's real. It can't be generic.
Right.
You can't just put it out there just so it's fills the, Mad Libs and you fill the gap.
Yeah.
You gotta actually feel it, that actually is the purpose.
I'll give you one then. So I do think about this, and I thought about this last night when I was in the gym, was in part, I think I work out because I want to be healthy and in shape for my girlfriend. Like I want our relationship to be good. I want us to be able to be active together. I want her to be attracted by me when I'm naked. And I had a debate with my team as to like whether that's a noble reason to work out. And should we feel an obligation or whatever to be in shape for our other half?
I think to be healthy for our other half, for sure.
Right. But you think the aesthetic stuff is a bit...
I think it's fine. I mean, I think the aesthetic stuff is about confidence, right? Which is, I'm sure she'll love you even if you're chubby, I'm sure she'll love you even if you don't have a six pack, But if it makes you feel confident, then it's like people who have nose jobs, Like somebody says, you can't have a nose job. Why are you? Well, if it makes them feel better about themselves, then how can we argue with it? Like if they went from being really, really insecure and hiding their faces or bad teeth and they never wanted to smile to fixing their teeth and now they smile all the time. Like why should we tell them they can't? Now, of course there's a line. Getting addicted to plastic surgery is something different. And there is a line. But, getting your teeth done or getting a nose job to make yourself feel better is fine if it builds your confidence. So if it builds your confidence and you're doing it in a healthy way, then, it's like, how can somebody argue that you shouldn't be exercising because it looks good? Now, again, there is a line. There are some people who actually overdo it, where if they stop exercising, they gain a tiny bit of weight, they actually spiral. There is a line where they're actually not building confidence, they're actually building insecurity. But some of these things don't have to be big and lofty. They can be ridiculously small. Like, so for example, for me, I'm very good at disappointing myself. Like I have no problem disappointing myself, right? Like I'll wake up in the morning 2 hours before my alarm and I'll say to myself, you should work out. Like you're up super early, you've got a busy day and you just got an extra 2 hours. You could like use 30 minutes of that to work out. Get out of bed. I'm like, nah, I'll sit in bed for 2 hours and just like read the newspaper and play Wordle, And 2 hours will go by and I won't work out. Do I have any guilt? None. I'm just like, oh, you're an idiot, Simon, right? Now, if I'm meeting someone at the gym at 7:30 because we're going to work out, I'll be there. I won't let somebody down. I'm okay letting myself down, but I won't let somebody else down. So for me, my purpose sometimes is very in the moment. Like I'm doing this for them. It's like, when I would run, one of the reasons I stayed in good running shape is because when I ran with my running buddy, I never wanted to ruin their run. If they wanted to keep a slightly higher pace, I could keep it.
This is a very...
So it doesn't always have to be big and long.
Like, this is a very, very... I don't think I know any person that sees stuff like this. Honestly, I don't think that I know. That they are so much that their life, their purpose is dependent on the other person. Like it's just it's like I don't know. It's just I'm finding it really challenging to sit with it like and say, guy. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The fact that you don't want to let somebody else down. But it's like, what about you? Like what do you want? Or
For
does that make you
yourself, yeah.
selfish? Does that make you now become a selfish person for doing it for yourself? You know? Well, yeah, that's why I'm trying to understand. Like, does that make you a selfish person if you're choosing to do it for yourself?
Trying to look at it in the context of my own journey, and I need to be very personal about it, right? So I've thought about the usefulness of my job,
Hmm.
and sincerely, I'm planning my wedding, planning my
Hmm.
accommodation,
Hmm.
setting up the accommodation, the wedding expense, everything. The fact that I'm starting my own family
Yeah.
is just the motivation that helps me when I am demotivated. Eh,
Actually.
because so that's just like the main
Hmm.
thing that just makes me go like, I need this job. I can't just wake up to say, oh, I'm not passionate about the job. I'll end the job and or more.
Yeah. True.
Oh.
Hmm.
So the other side to it is like, because there are people who you hear people talk about how, oh, their parents worked three jobs to send them
Hmm.
to school. Those things were very uncomfortable. Oh, their parents did not like, they missed holidays, they had to grind.
Hmm.
Those things look very uncomfortable and sometimes they sound very toxic. But the bigger why was for the greater good, right? And
Hmm.
also at the end of the day, I think everyone has to like be true to themselves to say, okay, oh, so I'm coming back to this to say what is the cost, all right? Is it worth it to do a job that you're not exactly passionate about because there's something you're
Hmm.
trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, is it worth it? Is it worth me going through the stress of doing something that I would naturally not want to do? All right, because I consider this other thing I want to achieve worthy of all my stress and
Hmm.
whatever, you know. I,
Hmm.
I, I believe that I should do anything it takes as legitimately as possible. It's boring, it's stressful. I'm working with clients that are swearing, telling me
Hmm.
to never call them,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, this job is beneath me. I can't be
Hmm.
doing this, right?
Hmm.
And maybe it is beneath me, but there's a bigger why, and my decision, my decision making is no longer about me. I have a family I'm trying to start, and
Hmm.
a lot depends on me doing my best on this job. So, come back to this, I totally agree that when
Yeah.
the stakes are no longer on just you,
Yeah.
right, but the people you care about,
Hmm.
it helps you go the extra mile to do things
Hmm.
that you naturally just give up on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder like if that would help people like do better at setting like goals that they're trying to achieve. Like
Mm,
if they find somebody to connect it with,
yeah.
right? Simon is always just a together is better kind of person. So he's always like preaching that mindset of doing things together, doing things with somebody else, not just in isolation or feeling like, oh,
Mm,
this is for you, but like having that finding a way to like connect that thing to somebody else, which is a very nice way to live
mm-hmm,
actually. Yeah. And it kind of gets through. gets us through challenges. Like for example, now the one you're facing at work, like you're like, okay, this is not something that you obviously would love to be doing, but you know that it's tied to, it's tied to the joys and the
Yeah,
of other people. So I mean, you
bruh,
just do what you have to do, that kind of thing, that kind of
bruh.
yeah, I can understand honestly how that makes sense. And yeah, something I need to think about, like moving forward, when I'm trying to achieve something, find a way to connect it with, people that I care about and see if that works out or how that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be in the moment.
When you talked about awareness there and the importance of trying to become more aware about ourselves, and one of the things that made you aware was that conversation with your partner,
Yeah.
where they said you don't listen.
You're a shitty listener.
Yeah. Self-awareness. What I don't know if that's a real thing, but self-awareness seems to be the foundation of personal growth, right? So becoming aware about something in our lives, and people can read as I always say, people can read as many books as they like, but if they're unable to read themselves, they'll never really learn a thing. For me, and I
Bruh.
read a couple of years ago, when I had a guy in my office who read every single. He was actually one of the people that always came in with your books, right? He read every single book I've ever seen. He knew every book, but he never changed.
Yeah.
And
God, pause
there
this
was
thing.
things within him that he wasn't.
See, oh boy.
Bro,
Hey.
that's a lot, bro. Like it's a lot to think about.
Wow.
I've never heard this in my entire life. Like
Yeah, I've
what?
never heard it too. Never ever heard it. Wow, 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 wow. Like
That's
you can
crazy.
read books, but if you don't read them, say if you don't read yourself, like you will never learn anything in your life. But actually, that is so true.
So deep.
So true, actually.
I
Hmm.
think for me, the way we've always heard this, because this is not a new idea, but the
Mm-hmm.
way he sees it, it just sinks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we've always heard people talk about how don't like take every advice on the internet, hook, line, and sinker, apply it within the
Mm-hmm.
context of your own journey. All right.
Yeah.
So really, if you're not self-aware enough, you will
Mm-hmm.
not fully maximize the wisdom of other people. All right. The wisdom of other people will become wisdom to you to the degree you're able to apply it in your context. Right. If not, it will look like foolishness at the end of the day because how did they say this? There's this illustration people use where they
Mm-hmm.
say the fish and the bird and the snake or whatever are trying to take the same exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fish looks like a failure because it's trying to do,
Yeah.
what. So at the end of the day, what looks like common wisdom when you try to apply it within your context can look like, oh, you're such a failure,
Yeah.
even
True.
after you've applied everything. So self-awareness. I love what you just said. Like you read everybody, but you need to read yourself. So as
Mm-hmm.
you're learning, you need to learn how you operate, how you think, how what works for you. And if you're able to learn a lot about yourself, how it works for you, you now become a template for other people as well, just as other people have become templates for you. So self-awareness is really key. I love that point. I love that point. I love
Yeah.
that point so
Mm-hmm.
so much.
Difference. Yeah.
No, no, no.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Hmm.
But like, bro, like these people, like, how do they come? Like, how do they know so much? Like, I think I'll come to that because a lot of these people read a lot and and all that. Like, to have this kind of mindset.
I think that I kind of think that you must need to have spent like a lot of time with yourself, like
Hmm.
solo, like this kind of solo lifestyle where you are with yourself and you are thinking of you're looking at like you're looking at like generally accepted beliefs or
Hmm.
concepts. Like you like you go deep into it, like you're just staring at it and looking at it, and you're like, does this actually, how does this apply to my own life? Like this part, like
Hmm.
for example, it might be like a quote, like maybe somebody's like this a popular quote, and then
Yeah.
the person is just focused on that quote and seeing how that weight. I've been saying this quote my whole life. Like each person just sitting in their room and just thinking like, wait, I've been saying this quote my whole life, but like this quote actually doesn't apply, or I haven't been able to actually apply this quote to my own life. So what exactly is in this quote that is faulty? And how can I like how do I make this quote mine? And then they now come up with those kind of things like in that moments where they're like thinking through, oh, how that this doesn't apply to me, but this is how this one applies to me, blah blah blah. Then before you know, they just put pieces together and like, oh, and they come up with like original that, or they come up with things that feel like they're original, but like they're not exactly original. They're just like they're kind of like when you've really looked at stared at something for a very long time, that you're like you poke all the holes, and then after poking all the holes, if you see, oh, where, oh, okay, I can now fix, this is where I can fit in my own what's it called, my own life into this, and so that it makes sense
Hmm.
to me. So it comes off
Yeah.
as though they have like they have original ideas, but if you look at it, like it's not exactly like you said, we've actually heard that thing before, right? But it's like he probably has spent time, that person or whoever said it has probably spent time with himself and sat down like, wait, like I've read a lot of books, but I haven't really looked at myself. But it might just be someone that just,
Hmm.
sat down there, but like but I just feel like it comes from spending time alone, like a lot of time alone reflecting on, sometimes they might even think that they are running mad by, some of the things that
Hmm.
come through their mind in those moments. But I just feel like it's just a lot of spending time with self, honestly. That's what I think it comes down to. And then there's a lot of people that actually do record, like they record some of these their sessions with themselves. So that's another crazy thing that I actually
Hmm.
learned. I'm telling you, I actually do it. Like I have like this secret Telegram where I always store some of these things that maybe I'm like I just find myself talking to myself sometimes, right? And I like whenever I catch myself doing that thing, I'll just hit record on my phone. Although now it's not feel like I'm filming it, but I don't want that idea. I don't want that thing that like I'm ruminating on to just disappear, because those things they come and go. Like that's the problem with those things. They don't stay, because they can go to the next person, right? So some people might actually go as far as like recording like some of those things. Like they'll tape like some of those things that they never obviously release to anybody. But I feel like they actually tape some of these their stuff. So and then some of them will go back to listen to it and be like, oh, that's true. That time, yeah, like this was it was kind of like so, I just feel like a lot of tipping to might be happening. People that can document to document, people that can't document to probably write, and some people they try kind of remember it. But personally, I've found that like I barely would remember some of those things, honestly, because I feel like they always just come and then go to some, like if you don't actually like find a way to trap them, they kind of
Hmm.
always go to the next person, that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I feel like is probably going on with some of these folks. But obviously they read a lot and they're quite knowledgeable and stuff. So there's that too, for sure.
I do a lot of that. The only difference
Mhm.
between the both of us is I'm not really intentional about recording it. I
Mm,
sometimes like it's like a wave of inspiration.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Many times it happens to me when I'm reading my Bible
Mm,
and there's like this reminder that drops and I'm just connecting
mm,
scriptures. And
mm,
the way it actually works for me is I just suddenly like picture myself teaching a crowd what I'm
mm,
learning in real time,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes, maybe I'm trying to prepare content, right? And I'm
Mm,
just stuck on
mm-hmm.
a line or a phrase, and
Mm.
I'm just, yeah, that's the way it works for me.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. Like it always feels like there's people there, but there's nobody there, that kind of thing. But it's almost like
Um,
you're actually seeing people there,
mhm.
right? Like so it's a and I can see how that you be getting all of those things from your session in the Bible too, because especially if you're like the kind of person that because I believe like everybody's like that, shy. Anybody that reads the Bible, like always looking for the underlining, like maybe something like you just said something abstract, like just something that you might not necessarily like go beyond like thinking about it, but you're like,
Bam,
this thing
bam,
cannot be just what it is in this line. Like there's something behind this line that I need to
bam.
find out. So it's from that
Yes.
place of thinking about it like that. It's not like, oh, okay. Then your mind will start going to those places, like you start getting a lot of like, oh, I remember this place in that place too, like that kind of like so there's a lot of like connections going on there and
Yeah.
like it's very hard to explain it, but do you find that you remember some of those things like after that period? Do you remember them?
So let me tell you why. Maybe this is why I have not really been like that intentional about record. Now there are times where
Hmm.
in a bid to like, wow, this is so amazing. I like quickly write them down.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I think there have been a few times maybe I recorded on my WhatsApp notepad, but more often than not, because I do Bible studies in church,
Hmm.
I find out that opportunities to bring those things, like maybe I'm teaching a particular topic and
Hmm.
it's not exactly that thing, but maybe somehow, maybe someone asks a question or I'm trying to do an illustration, an analogy. That thing
Hmm.
just comes and I'm like, I've thought about this thing before and so many times I see it as like, if not that you're talking about it, I actually used to feel like this is a special thing for me.
Hmm.
That I start to see these things as a vision, like, okay, this is something that I will need in the future. All right. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
and the reason I feel that is because it has happened
Hmm.
too many times where I'm in a
Yeah.
position to bring that thing back. Right. And when people listen to it, they're like, wow, that's insightful. I've not seen it that way, you know.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
If,
good. Like the fact that
yeah.
even you're in position to bring it up, like that's actually
Yeah.
very, very, very impressive. Like,
Mm,
yeah, because then when you now even share it, like it sticks, like that concept begins to even like solidify more in your mind because it's like now it's not just for you anymore. Like you're gifting it out to other people, that kind of thing. And I think that
yeah.
that's what makes it fun. Obviously, I'm very sure that someone would definitely approve of stuff like that because it's more of like, oh, like you don't keep those kind of things to yourself. You share it with yourself. Like it's when you share that it becomes meaningful. It's not meaningful when it's just sitting with you alone, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I like the fact that you actually would end up sharing it with folks. That's what makes it much more beautiful, honestly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of aware about that I believe were the reason why he couldn't evolve, even though he was taking in so much information. How does one go about? What are the key ways we can go about increasing our sense of self awareness so that we can grow and evolve?
Such a good question. It's kind of like people like that are a little bit like yo-yo dieters.
Yeah.
It's like they do every diet, but they're not healthy people. I read every book, but I'm not growing. And
Hmm.
you can't assess yourself. It's like, I mean, this from work, right? Which is at some point, somebody's going to have to give you feedback. At some point, you have to give somebody else feedback. Like self assessment is a thing, but it's not the only thing. It's a thing, it's a data point. And I'm a huge believer in self assessment, but you have to have that buttressed with the assessments of others because we are blind very often. We're social animals. We cannot do this thing called career or life alone. We're just not that smart. We're not that strong. We're not that aware. We're just not that good. As social animals, we actually need each other to watch our backs and tell us what's working and what's not working. And I think for somebody who goes through life and reads those books, all the books, I get good on them, I guess, but are they asking for help? Are they asking for insight from others as opposed to just reading it and agreeing with it and thinking they're making the changes? I know my own personal journey, and I do think of myself as I work hard to be self-aware and I work hard to self-evaluate. But I have seen in my own life my ability to truly demonstrate real awareness and move further down the journey and path called life, as opposed to staying stagnant, came when I let others help me. We don't build trust by offering help. We build trust by asking for it because it's a vulnerable thing to ask for help. Will you help me is a very, very vulnerable statement. Can I help you? Not so much. An act of service.
It's funny. This guy is like, I feel like a lot of people should listen to this guy, honestly. He's weirdly wired, like, but he says the things that I feel like we kind of know, we just don't have the language for it. Because this trust thing, like, the funny thing, I've always been trying to figure out, how do you build trust? Like, to me, there's always been like a foreign, like, does it just happen on its own? Like, is there something that actually makes someone to just trust that, oh, they can come to you and tell you anything? But like, now it's giving me like a way to think about it. Like, if I want to try and build trust with somebody, the best way to do it is to, like, to ask for help. And when the person has helped me, like, it feels like they've kind of made a deposit of themselves. And so, because they've made that deposit, it's hard for them to just throw me, like, throw the bathwater, like, away, just like that. Right? So it's like, okay, now moving forward, if I want to, like, see, oh, there's someone I'm, struggling with, but I'm trying to build trust with this person. Now I know that, oh, now what I need to do is just figure out a way to see how that person can help me, and then be okay to actually ask for their help. Because actually asking for help is sometimes it's very, very hard, honestly. But for you to actually ask for the help is, is it's something that I need to actually be doing more of, that I don't do enough. So that's actually me calling myself out. But yeah, like, honestly, I think most people should listen to this guy, honestly, because he says a lot of, like, this very, like, golden age, sorry, stone age kind of, philosophies. Yeah, because I mean, like, it's at least now I know how to go about building trust. Like, at least now I know without a doubt now. At least I will try this one now. Like, I'll actually prove it. Like, that's because that my next thing is to actually go out and prove it that this actually works. Because that's the whole point of, like, hearing some of these things. Like, when you can put it into practice and say, wait, let me intentionally do it. Even though it's kind of, you might say, oh, you doing it is kind of like you're forcing it. But the truth is that for you to test something, you have to intentionally do it. And it feels like you have to actually force it to happen. So if you don't actually, like, force it to happen, then you're not actually testing the theory to see, oh, does it apply? How much does it apply? And okay, then you might even, and the funny thing is, like, okay, you might not even apply, you might find even interesting stuff, like things that he's not even explaining, right? That, like, you might find that, oh, it only applies to, like, certain people, or maybe it applies to whenever, just different contexts, or like how it's working and not working, that kind of thing. And then, as a scientist, or someone that is experimenting, like, oh, okay, now I've learned something new. Yeah, this ideology is true for this particular context in my own life, blah blah blah. So, which goes back to your point again about how that, taking advice, but also keep putting it in the context of our own lives, that kind of business. So, that's something I'll definitely be putting into practice. But I sort of believe it should work, but we'll see.
I think for me, the idea, if I put myself in, like, thinking about the statement and putting myself in the shoes of the statement is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that putting yourself in a position to be helped does for the other person, or rather, maybe does for you is it signals um should I say vulnerability or humility for both of them,
Mm,
right? And um it it makes people unguarded, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we are social animals, right? And we
Mm,
are
mm,
social animals, we are watching out for ourselves. We are all in survival mode,
yeah.
right?
I,
Survival is our basic human instincts, right?
mm,
And so we open up to those we feel safe around. We
mm-hmm.
are guarded against those that we feel are a threat. And so
Mm,
one way to make people unguarded is to let them know that you are someone who wants to be helped and supported. All right.
mm,
Um, so a very, 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 very practical way to look at it is um, if we are all, if we are all, let's say we are all soldiers in a battle, we are holding spears and
mm,
shields. All right.
mm,
If you're going to help me, maybe I'm drowning, you need to drop your sword and your shield to
mm.
help me. In that way,
Yeah.
you are unguarded. All right. So that's the
Mm,
way it works.
mm,
And yeah, that's honestly the way it works. You stop seeing me as a threat, and
mm.
you start to see me as someone
Actually,
that you can support. All right. So, of
mm,
course, there's the evil genius side of it, where you know, people manipulate people with that idea. All right.
mm.
But it's a very, very good way to help insecure
Mm.
people around you.
Yeah, but like you said, the evil genius, but like it's just like everything, like for example, when Uber
Definitely.
were trying to, I'm pretty sure like when Uber were trying to like set up their company, they didn't think about how that kidnappers can hijack this process and start carrying people and then taking
Bruh,
you know but
bruh.
in the hands of people that actually want to make a living, it's
Mm,
actually very
such a
amazing.
brilliant
Such a
idea.
beautiful tool, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the persons that are actually using the tool. So like what are you
Mm,
using it for? So, for example, both of us now, we obviously, in the end, like this logic that this guy has shared now, this philosophy, like in our own hands now, it will be a helpful tool because we're in the part of our journeys where we're trying to like, have people build like men and women around us that will support us, through our journey. And
mm,
so,
mm,
asking for help from people that we kind of like maybe they just hear from us, they consume stuff from us, or like they're just in our circle.
mm,
They'll probably be glad to want to help.
mm.
And yeah, and then they'll also that trust, be built, that trust will be solid,
Yes.
even more. And so I just think it just depends on the hands which the tool is in.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah, and hopefully, like other people that stumble on the idea also use it for the right, the right things. But like you said, people can use it for they can hijack it and use it for all kinds
Yeah.
of reasons. But yeah,
But the act of service really comes from allowing somebody else to serve you, which it becomes this whole weird, twisted, circular thing. No? It's like, I mean, I'll give you a silly example. People who are bad at taking compliments, right? You're so smart. No, right? We downplay it because we're embarrassed by the compliment, right? But a compliment is a gift. Somebody's paying you a gift. Now, if somebody handed you a present, you wouldn't push it back because it would be rude, right? You would accept it. And whether you like it or not, or whether it makes you comfortable or not, you accept it with gratitude. And then you go evaluate it later. Oh, that's an ugly sweater, you know? But you're still grateful for the thought and the gift. And a compliment's the same. And I think all of these things, the willingness to, to deny someone else the joy of giving you the gift of the compliment, and to deny someone else the intensity and joy of being there for someone else, again, I think is selfish. Never asking for help is selfish. Asking for help is a great act of service because you allow someone else to have the joy of sacrifice. And it goes backwards and forwards. It's not one-sided. And this is where I think great relationships work, which is we take turns. And sometimes it's really difficult when both of us are in need at the same time. That gets really difficult. Good thing we have friends. So, the height of COVID, I have a couple of my friends, they're sort of remarkable high-performing individuals, both of them. And one of them called me out of the blue. She went for a long walk. She says, I'm doing really badly. And I need to talk to you. And I don't want to talk to my husband because he's doing really badly as well. And I fear that if I talk to him, he doesn't have the energy for me, but I know he'll want to be there for me, which will make it worse for him. We're both really struggling. Do you have some time to talk?
Wow.
And
But
I mean, A, the willingness to ask for help. B, the willingness to understand that.
Do you want to dissect it?
I have some thoughts on that because it's like it's kind of like, I mean, the very person you're supposed to be going to, you shouldn't be your partner in the first place.
It's a very, 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 very slippery slope. Like, bro, because
Because
you are in a depressed, struggling,
yeah,
anxious, like that's a
yes.
very, bro,
So it's, I mean,
bro.
especially with the
Ah,
stories that I've seen, I don't know
except
if
it's your fellow gender. Oh. Omo.
yeah, well, there's that for sure, sure. I mean, yeah, yes, there's a good point. That one is a good point. Good point, to be honest. But I also think that for her to, but I mean, she knows better than us, right? For her to have
Definitely.
felt like the husband can actually handle, and I mean, that's very impressive and very, I don't know if to say self-aware, but like for you to know that, if you unpack this thing with your husband, it won't, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know, but I would think that the first person you go to, regardless of good or bad, is going on, will be your partner. But it seems like, I mean, if you have somebody that you trust and like that maybe your partner will not be able to show up and I don't think that's a bad thing, like in
Mm.
itself, right? Because I'm pretty sure some people have also been through certain things and they had to seek help like externally. So, but very slippery slope, like you said. Very.
What made it even more difficult for him. It was just a very sophisticated and beautiful moment. And to this day, and not only did we become closer for it, but her husband and I became closer for it as well because I was there for her when he knew he couldn't be. And this is why we have friends.
Wow.
Like, again, we can't do this alone. Not only are we social animals, we're tribal animals. It's more than a friend, it takes a community. And I think one of the, we're always talking about what we're eating and we're talking about what we're, what supplement we're taking, or we're always talking about those kinds of things or what book we're reading. But we don't do enough talking about how we are nursing our close personal relationships, how we're taking care of those closest to us and making sure that the tribe is strong. The crew is taken care of, you know? And I think there's a lot more work that we can do in that arena.
Is there practical things that you do with colleagues, partners, friends to create that culture of seeking feedback, being open, being truly vulnerable? You know, some people say, oh, we'll sit down with our diary and we'll do this exercise. Or you might have seen in organizations where they do like 360 feedback things. Is there practical things we can do to create a culture of seeking out that feedback and creating a safe space?
Well, the simple answer is, of course. There's no such thing as a single silver bullet. It's a combination of things. It's like, what's the one thing I can do to have a happy relationship? Well, I can tell you a important thing, but I can't tell you the important thing. So it's the same. And everybody's a little different, you know, and each culture is a little different. So there's not even a set list I can give, but there's some things that people can choose from. You know, one of the ways we create space is how we react, right? If someone gives you feedback and you deny it, well, that's a problem. If somebody gives you hard feedback and you thank them for it, it's a very different environment it creates. So I'll give you two examples. One, a lesson, the other one, a practical example that someone can use. So I had the opportunity to visit the Army Rangers, Ranger School in particular, and where they make Army Rangers. And one of the troubles they had a bunch of years ago was they had these folks that they called Spotlight Rangers, which was they were really good at their job. Like they were brilliant at all the tasks that were set to them, strong. The teachers, the instructors loved them. They stood out. They were great. They were motivated. But as soon as the spotlight was turned off, when the instructor wasn't there and they were back at barracks, they were assholes. And the only people who knew were their friends and colleagues because the spotlight was turned off. And so the Army Rangers implemented a system of peer review in order to identify Spotlight Rangers. And now, by the way, they started this 40 years ago, which I find incredibly advanced. But to advance through Ranger School, you need to pass 3 tests. You need your instructor to say, yep, you're ready to go to the next level. You need to physically actually perform all the tasks required of you, and you need to pass your peer review. And if you fail any one of those 3, you don't make it to the next level.
Interesting.
And so that becomes an equally weighted component of advancement in the Army Rangers, which is what kind of team player are you, which I love. So we implemented a system of 360 review, which was sort of a bit of an amalgamation of things we'd taken from other groups and made our own, where the way it works is you take the group of people you have regular interaction with, and you fill out your top 3 weaknesses or the places you believe you need to grow the most with a specific example for each. So top 3 specific weaknesses or places you need to grow the most. And then top 3 specific strengths or the places you believe, 3 examples of the places you believe you've grown the most. They have to be specific. Not like, oh, I'm a much better timekeeper now. No, that you've got to give some specific examples. They're collated and distributed amongst the team. And then you come together as a group and you take turns reading them. So first you read your own weaknesses. And then the group has the opportunity to add to that list. And here's the best part. We give a little speech before the whole exercise starts that the people who are going to give you this feedback really don't want to. It's really uncomfortable for them. It's going to be, they would just rather not do this exercise at all. But they're going to do it because they want to see you and help you grow. And so what they're giving you is a gift. And so you have to receive it as a gift, which means you say thank you. You don't have to agree with it. If you don't agree with it, say thank you and just dismiss it. It's fine. But if it has an emotional impact, if it makes you angry or frustrated, probably true. Right? And we go around the room and people can add to this list of these weaknesses in any way there's no format. They can do it in any way they want. And you sit there and you look them in the eye and you genuinely say, thank you. You're not allowed to say a word except thank you. Then you do your strengths and you read your threat strengths, and anyone can add to the list. And just as you discovered you have blind spots you didn't know you have, you discover that you have strengths that you didn't know you had, that you're having a positive impact on the lives of others that you didn't know you were. And it's a magical experience. There's usually tears at some point because it's powerful and it's a safe environment. I wouldn't recommend an organization start there. I would recommend you build towards that because you're going to put very senior people and very junior people in the same room, and they're going to have very blunt conversations with each other, and it's real. Right? It's not a place to start, but it is a place to get to. And there are variations for it. That one takes a lot of time. We varied as where everybody's responsible to do it, and you have two people assigned, and you can choose one or two people to join, and you just have a smaller group when you want to do it. And it's just for you, so the others don't do it in that moment. It's a little more efficient to do it that way. But there's no right or wrong way.
I really love that idea of the promotion being contingent on not just your manager or you're the CEO believing that you are X, Y, and Z, but getting peer reviewed by the colleagues around you. Because one of the things I noticed in my company, and when I left, there was about 700 people, but I would hear reports about a particular team member, and the reports I would get back about their character and their conduct never matched the way they treated me. So they would always treat me, of course, amazingly, right? Of course, right? And then I'd hear that they treated this person like this, and they did this, and I'd go, really? And they go, yeah. I go, really? Yeah. They were always so nice to me. And obviously on that basis, I would have promoted that individual and thought they were great. So that's definitely something I'll implement.
That's called a tree of monkeys, by the way.
It's called a
tree of monkeys, which is all the people at the top looking down see only smiles, but all the people at the bottom looking up see only ashes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's amazing. I've never had that.
And again, you don't have to. I mean, there's different cultures can accept different. There's no right or wrong here. And some cultures may want to implement a peer review that gets included in a promotion package, but it doesn't have to be that. Good leadership helps there as well, which is every senior person knows that they don't get the truth. I mean, even if your people are wonderful and fantastic, people want to tell you the right answer, not because they're trying to lie to you, but they want to please you. Like you knew the more senior you got, it was harder and harder to get the truth. And every senior leader knows that it's hard to get the truth. Every group.
I mean, they can always do like anonymous feedback, right? That would be the best way about it, right?
I can never do anonymous feedback, but if in context of a company, I know that the IT guys know what's in the back end, but that's on a lighter note. But yeah, yeah,
But what do you mean, like they know what's in the back? Like they'll know who is who?
they'll know the back end now. Yes, now.
No, I think this way you can say, come on, like there's Google forms that you can fill without actually.
Won't they know the IP of the laptop that it's coming from?
I guess. Yeah, I
Anyhow,
guess.
sha.
But like, if you're going to go as far as finding someone's IP, then you must be really ridiculous.
Okay, now.
Because that's just all shades of funny. Why would you go the way to go just because you're trying to hunt down a feedback was that so? I mean, especially if the feedback is like, especially if the place that is welcoming of feedback. Anyways, let me just use that way.
Yeah.
Like they don't, they take every feedback and they don't take every feedback. I mean, they take the ones that they believe, okay, this one is true, and the ones that obviously maybe there's nothing they can do about those ones. They can just
You
leave
know,
it
you
for
know,
later.
interestingly, in my last three jobs, where Nigerians were at the helm of affairs, whether CEO, founder, or whatever,
Mm.
I was never free to. I never. When I think back, there were never places to give honest feedback.
Oh, really?
Never.
But did they create like the opportunities to give?
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Well, they did, but when you, for instance, my exit interview, the job I had last year, my exit interview, where they were like, "Oh, what did you not like about Oga?" I like if you know how political the place is, just
Hmm.
believe yourself and just say one generic response. right? Because they were owing me commission. I was going to be paid my commission maybe like 3 months after I left. So I said, make
Mm,
I just jejely,
mm,
you know. So so to be honest, that is what I'll pick as my answer. What makes people free to share is not that you said it's not about it's not if like be having one town hall meeting every month. What Simon Sinek said initially is really the answer where there's something he said how you react when people open up, when people give you feedback.
mhm.
All right. So um if
Yeah.
you keep saying to everybody, feel free to talk. But I can see in a meeting when somebody talks, the person is victimized, the
Mm,
person's opinion is minimized,
mm,
you know, and all that.
mm.
Your that is the true, that is the real announcement that this place is not a safe zone. It's not, you get, it is not, oh, everybody's free to talk. What happens when people are free to talk? Is there
Mm.
freedom after speech? So, so,
Yeah, I
yeah,
see. Uh,
so that's in the context of company, yeah.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
by the grace of God, if I'm going to build a company, I want it
yeah.
to be something that my mates can come to me and say, ah, boss, this thing will not work with. This is why, you know,
Mm,
that kind of
mm-hmm.
thing. That
Yeah.
I want that.
Mm. And to be able to, for me, what I've even learned, save in all of the, like personally, like when someone is giving me feedback, say
Yeah.
about my job or like something that you notice about me, even if I don't
Mm,
agree with it, like the
yeah.
first thing I will ever see moving forward is tell them
Mm,
thank you.
mm,
Yeah, because it's very easy to just say, oh no, you just quickly say, oh no. That kind of thing. But like, because if I close that door is never coming back open again.
right.
So, and I'll never know how maybe I might be doing how helpful the person's
Mm,
feedback might just be. At least it might not be like you said, like there's certain feedback that you can take and it's like, nah, I don't agree with this one. But there's certain ones that is like maybe we're already even thinking about it, or you're an area maybe you're already like working or you're trying to work on,
mm,
or yeah, or maybe you're even looking for areas that you want to even work on. Do you understand?
yeah.
Like I might be
Yeah.
open now and say, oh, this particular area that I'm open to saying, oh, are there still things that I feel like I need to work on in other areas? And this person tells me, oh, bro, this is what I noticed about you. Like, so I'll first tell the person, like, thank you. Like, you understand? Like, and I might even lead with saying that I've actually been open to working on myself in other areas, and I was actually looking for opportunities that will present themselves to me. And thank you for even sharing with me. I might not even necessarily even agree with the person, but I've left that door open, and I think that's the most important thing, like leaving that door open, because you just never know how useful leaving that door might be. Might not even
Mm,
come back as feedback, but might come back as like um. I think it goes back to even the trust. Like when you leave that door open, it kind of builds that trust too, that the person can always walk back in, and me too, I can always walk through that door too,
yeah.
into each other's lives basically. So yeah, I think it goes both ways. So it's something that genuinely, like, if someone is giving me feedback now, like, is to first of all thank them. And even at the ending, like even if I have anything, like maybe I see some stuff in between, like at the end of it, I still like appreciate the person for actually sharing with me, because of this was helpful, more helpful than they realize, you know. So yeah, I'm glad I even heard that, honestly, because I never actually thought about thanking somebody for giving me feedback, which is weird, but but yeah, I'm thinking that one home
Mm,
for sure.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Makes you really old buys. Somebody that maybe you were friends with that people don't know you're friends with, or you came up through the ranks of the organization together, but your career went a little further, a little quicker. that you have these trusted relationships that you can just get a little inside scoop as to what's really going on.
Mm.
Also, this is the hardest one, or at least it's a hard one, learning to replace judgment with curiosity. So somebody comes to you and
Mm.
says, that person is a
Mm.
problem. And all
Mm.
of a sudden we create a narrative based on the story that they tell us that they are a problem. That person's stupid, that person's lazy, whatever it is. Now they're labeled as lazy. Now we treat them as lazy. Now
Mm.
everything that they do or don't do is because they're lazy, right? But as a good leader, we can take those reports, we can take that hearsay, we can take those direct stories that people have, and we can say, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll look into it. I'm going to find out more. And you go on a little journey to discover what's really happening.
Mm.
It absolutely may be that they're lazy. That could 100% be it. Or maybe they're distracted for a reason, or maybe they're having trouble at home, or maybe we.
Yes, exactly. I was about to even say, I was listening to this podcast with Banky and Ebuka, like this one he did with these ladies recently. And he has said this story before. It was when he was so they used to live like, I think in between his whole like political all this thing. I think before he even went into politics, I think that was probably what he was even studying over there in US. I don't know if it was US or UK, but I actually know it was somewhere in the abroad, sha. And he said
Mm.
that there was this particular class that he was struggling in. Like at that time in their life that he just gave birth. Yeah, like so he had to he and his wife were like taking different turns with like staying up at night for the kid, like this I'll take care of this time, this particular time you can go do your own thing, that kind of so they were taking turns. So it kind of affected his class, right? So there was this one
Hi.
class he was struggling in. And the professor had to reach out to him and say, you know what? You are feeling in this course, blah blah blah, and he just asked him like, what's the issue? No, actually, he didn't ask him what's the issue actually, but Banky was like, Omo, this you don't look left, you don't look right. Like there's literally not like it's just best to just come as you are, you know.
Mm.
So he explained to the man that, sir, this is what is going on. Like my family is struggling right now. My wife, we can barely even, you know, see front. So this man now say, you know what? I sense that you and your wife need a break. And so he said that this man offered that he and his daughter will come to Banky's house. A professor, he and his daughter will come to Banky's house. That he will even give Banky and his wife $200 to go out and go and enjoy themselves. That the professor and the daughter will take care of their children for that whole day. That two of them, he just senses that two of them need time together by themselves. And he will even give them $200 to go and do whatever they want to do. So he came on, eventually did it. So then went to go and enjoy themselves. And honestly, that was exactly what they needed. Just that time he with each other to just say, we can actually breathe. But you see, till today, Banky is till today. He has said that he doesn't even know. He has repeated that story too. This is the second time I'm hearing this now on the podcast. Like I'm like, that's how much. If that man
It
should,
meant to
if that
him.
man should call him in the middle of the night and say, "Yo, this is what he
Alpha.
will stand up from that bed.
Yeah.
They not born away because the guy
Yeah.
has touched a place in his heart that it's
Mm.
not everybody that can do what that man did, and that's something that it's supposed to be a norm, but because we kind of judge instead of like getting curious about people and what they are dealing with, that might be affecting. I know that it's his school is not supposed to be feeling is his business and all those things, but like for someone to actually just you know leave all those things and say, you know what, I'm your professor, I'm your lecturer, but that doesn't matter. Like I will treat you as if my fellow human being right now, and then just see you as you are. Like almost that good. That's it. Just it's a very very inspiring story, honestly, of not like judging and just being curious about like what's actually going on with people. Like exactly what you just said now about somebody struggling with I think it was going to was saying work or something like that. But I that story just really anytime I think about it, I'm like, God, that lecturer, man, he didn't have to. Like he just didn't have to, but God
It's
just
not
used the
it's
guy.
not it's not part of his GD or KPI.
I'm telling you, just out of character, like out of
Mm-hmm.
not even out of character, but out of like um
Professionalism.
exactly. out of professionalism. And that needs to happen, more often, but I guess it's the opposite that happens most frequently. So it's on us to do better. It's on us, really. It's on us.
Given them a job that they're ill qualified
Mm.
for, or maybe they're having a personality conflict with somebody that they work with. Like the list
Mm.
goes on and on and on and on. And the good leader is finding that out.
Mm.
And by the way, by leader, I don't mean the senior person. I mean any person in the organization. To replace that judgment with curiosity. And I think that's what creates those environments. But the reality is with rank, you do set the tone. So, for example, no lying. That seems like a pretty simple one inside a company. We don't tell lies. Okay. Phone rings, your assistant picks up, they put the person on hold and they call out to you. David's on the phone, and you go, tell him I'm not here. You've just sanctioned a lie. You've just sanctioned a lie, right? And that little lie, then, now that person who was told to lie approvingly, now they can tell a lie, right? Because it came from the boss. And all of a sudden, you find out you have an organization that tells lies all over the place, and some of those lies grow. It happened to me once where I had a very, very senior phone call with the top leaders of a really big organization. And I forgot. I just didn't show up on the call. I have no excuse. I forgot to check my calendar and I forgot. And my assistant at the time, of course, wanted to protect my reputation. And she wrote to them and said, terribly sorry. Simon had another meeting that ran long. And I took her aside, and it was the hardest feedback I had to give because she did it with such good intention. I said, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you're protecting me and you're protecting my reputation. And I want you to do that. But you have to do that without lying. We cannot lie. You can say, I'm sorry he's late. I'm sorry he missed the call. But you cannot say it's because he was in another meeting, because that's not true. And so it's this, I mean, I'll challenge you. You try this.
But that must have been hard to even tell the lady. I just imagine like trying to see it. Because on one hand, they actually like he could have actually even gone off and said, oh, you don't do that, blah 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 blah. But like he started with like appreciating the person first and saying, oh, how that, oh, like
Yeah.
I love that you try to look out for me, but you have to do it without lying. Oh my God, guy. That would have just hit it would have sunk so deep into her heart, man. Like because she said we do and say she knows the thing no follow.
Yeah.
The thing no follow at all. But yeah. But and not to throw my parents under the bus, but honestly, as this guy was saying this thing now, I just remember like growing up and my dad, and my mom, they can be inside the house, right? And maybe a visitor comes that maybe I just actually just tired and stuff. And I mean, at least I can count like two times that happened when I was very, very young. And I don't know how that actually impacted like, me seeing lies as maybe a normal thing moving forward. Because it's like, okay, if my parents are saying they are not home, but they're actually home, and I have to tell this person that they're not home, it's kind of like, okay, how do I start picturing, lies moving forward, that kind of thing. But it's actually he made a very good point, and it's the seemingly small things that we think that don't compound. Those things are the very things that are like, in fact, they're the most dangerous, honestly, because they fly under the radar. Like it's almost like you don't notice it, and you obviously wouldn't save. But if you catch it fast enough, then you just save a lot of mess, honestly, and you keep like the integrity and the culture of the particular company or the culture of the place in order, instead of one person doing just a lot of inconsistencies. But with that one, like you just ensuring that those things don't slip through the cracks. Like it just keeps the whole culture going like that. So he made a
Yeah.
good point to that one for sure. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
No,
Okay, okay.
no.
Right? Let's look at the time right now, right? It's noon. Okay? It's noon on I don't even know what day it is, Monday, right? You and your entire crew, here's the challenge for all of you, okay? You may not tell a single lie for the next 48 hours. I mean, nothing. And you'll be amazed how difficult it is. You'll be amazed how many little white lies we tell. Like
Hmm.
the waiter comes over, and 5 minutes before you're saying, oh, this food is so salty. And the waiter comes and goes, how's everything? You go, it's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, thank you. It's fine. That is a lie, right? Now, you don't have to be mean.
Oh
There's
man.
nothing that says truth has to be brutal. It just has to be true.
Hmm.
Try for the next 48 hours and see how
But
hard it is
but
not to tell a single lie.
okay. Now let's take it back to that. Like a waiter comes to you, like let's not even put it in the context of like, yeah, you're with someone. Let's say it's somebody took you to the restaurant, right? Like this person took you to the restaurant. It was your
Wait
birthday.
for you,
The person paid for you, did
bro,
everything,
bro,
and the waiter has served you guys. The person is there on the table. And the
bro.
person, let's say the person is even enjoying the food. The person actually enjoys it, right? Now, what do you see when the waiter says, "Oh, do you?" And you say you don't enjoy the food. What would you see? And you don't want to lie.
Man, well, with this information I have now, man, I did, sincerely, I didn't know what I was saying.
I know what I'll say for sure. I would have
Eh,
obviously say, "Oh, I like the food. It's okay." I'll just say it's okay.
yeah, I'll say it's okay. I'll say, yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Right.
Yeah, but I guess like it's okay. It doesn't actually justify like it doesn't actually. It's not helpful enough.
Let me tell you, and the truth is, see, me, I'm self-aware enough, even
Yeah.
though I'm still on my journey, my growth journey, and me admitting it is not me saying this is the way I am. It's saying this is something I know that I need to work on.
I like the way you always use Johnny like a lot. That word is one word that you can use like 2 million times in one conversation. So instead of life, you replace life with Johnny, and it's so like it makes it so it paints a picture like instead of just oh life is just life. But like when you say
Yeah.
Johnny, like oh I just picture this guy on. He's just like he's in this. I don't know. It's just in different phases. I can see a guy moving. He's just moving through
Mm,
like that kind of like he paints you like a picture. When you see Johnny.
no mind me. I didn't. I mean, I didn't know you even pick on that. Like you noticed that.
Yeah.
But I am a people pleaser, real one.
Hmm.
I grew up with people pleasing. I'm a very sentimental person. I hate to offend. I hate to like be in
Hmm.
people's bad books. So
Hmm.
I have grown up to live for the impression that I make on people.
Hmm.
Right. So definitely in this scenario, I don't want to disappoint the person who sponsored my food to make it
Hmm.
look like I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll probably just nod my head while eating. Like,
Hmm.
ah, God, I beg. And they never step foot in that restaurant ever again. People like me, I remember my former boss. He used to talk about how users who complain are a gift. That there are users who they use a product,
And you
they
just
find
don't
it terrible, they don't give you feedback, and you never improve.
come back. Yeah.
Right. So I'm sort of those kind of people that will not give you the feedback. I'll just walk away. You just notice that you have sign up rate, too, but you don't have retention rates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The people involved.
Yes, so I'm those people who, hey, and I expect you to figure it out.
Ah, it's the self-awareness for me. Oh.
God, I beg.
But man, that you know the funny thing, like after this thing, I'll actually put it into writing and actually go and ask people like what they would do in
Mm,
those kind of situations, like just to see those two, and just see the kind of intelligence kind of answers that some people that would be honest enough to, but
mm,
maybe they don't want to like go like say, oh, your food is trash. Obviously, you cannot just say, oh, your food is rubbish. That no, that one is
yeah.
completely acceptable. Now that one I feel like, and that's why I was kind of hoping that maybe you would touch on something like that. Like when you receive feedback that is just it's just rude, those kind of
Mm,
feedback where the person is just very harsh. Because I think about it yesterday, for example, yesterday, because my sister has this Proverbs challenge she's doing on Instagram, and I'm reading Proverbs too. So there's the part of the book, was it chapter 4, where it's like don't pick offense with just
foolish
random,
man.
without any reason. So I now asked that
Okay.
question in the comment section that wait, is that place now saying that can you pick offense if you have a reason? She was like,
Okay.
no, like she was not trying to tell me how that the whole follow peace with all men, and then you know when to draw the line, meaning that
Okay. Okay.
draw the line in terms is like kind of like knowing when to tell the person that you know what, I don't like this particular behavior, and
Mm,
I would like to just exit the scene.
mm,
So I kind of did something yesterday with like, so I was not telling her the story yesterday or how that I went to this filling station yesterday, and I actually I walked in, right, but from when you walk in and you see like a person like that is the service provider, right, and you already
mm,
access the person, like, you can see that this person looks like a very, like, you can see, like, their demeanor already tells you like what's going on before you even get there. So you get there and you confirm what you're already thinking, which is like they appear to be rude, and she was
mm,
actually very rude. But I didn't first. So when she was at the point of paying, when I was tapping my card, she was like, "Oh, you put the card here, you know." But the way she said the tone was like she was a shouty kind of thing. I'm like, ah. At first, I just ignored it, right? Then I
mm,
went outside to go and pump my to put the gas in the tank. So on getting there, I didn't know that there was a button that you have to a separate button that you have to press beside the machine to make, because I'd never seen that one before, right?
mm.
So I was like, ah, I put this thing, it wasn't bringing out the fuel. I was pressing it, it wasn't bringing out the fuel. I was like, and I went back inside to meet the lady that, yo, this stuff is not coming out. This woman literally shouted at me that, can't you read this thing? I'm like, I thought, like, honestly, I don't know when it came out of my, like, I'd never defended myself like that before, but I was like, you can actually tell me without shouting. Do you know?
Bro,
Like, I didn't even know when I said it. I'm telling you, like, I don't know when I said it, but I told her you can actually. She was like, "Oh no, I'm just telling you to, like, you have read this." I was like, "No, I know, but you don't have to shout." Like that was like I just walked out,
bro.
and so like that particular decision was like, okay, when you see knowing where to draw the line and giving feedback, right? Is like you can actually give the feedback, and even the other person might not even receive it well. But if you exit, you can also exit the scene just to like follow peace, like you said, follow peace with all men. Like when you give the feedback, and the other person is not actually accepting of that feedback, even if you said like what you wanted to see, and you said it in a way that you didn't disrespect the person. You only told them that, oh, I don't like this thing that you just said, and if the person keeps going at it or more, that's just exit the scene because you don't actually know what the person is going through, and it can be something from somewhere that is, I don't know what, for whatever reasons is wrong with that lady, but I just know it has nothing to do with me, right? So just exit the scene and you know peace out with the person. But the feedback thing is that, like, the whole feedback, this whole feedback thing is like when you give, or somebody gives feedback that is just so disrespectful, like, do you, I guess it's just to say thank you still, and then just exit the scene because at that point the person is not like honestly I wouldn't receive like a rude feedback personally. I just wouldn't because I'm just not built that way. Like I'd rather not give you feedback than to give like a rude feedback. Except you, of course, you like for example that lady now, like if she's asking me for feedback, honestly, I wouldn't say anything rude. But like the fact that she's
And
asking,
letting her
like
know.
I'll let her know like what she did was actually very unacceptable. And I feel like I have my right to see that because why would you be shouting at me? Do you understand? Like I didn't take anything
Yeah.
from you. I paid for my gas. Like I'm only just trying to
Mm-hmm.
inquire, oh, why is the gas not coming out? And I didn't come at you. I didn't even shout at you. I wasn't aggressive. I just came and said, oh, I'm sorry. I tried to pump the this thing, but it wasn't coming out. And then you shouted. Like I understand that maybe there's instruction obviously on the side of the machine, but I did not see it. Do you understand? Like, and it's okay to
Yeah.
say, oh, yeah, or but there's a way you'd have said it, but like, I wouldn't have
They'll
seen
they'll be they'll be like, oh, did you see the instruction? Like, did you follow the
exactly,
instruction that says,
exactly. That's a way better way to make me even feel like, guy, why not even read? She and me say, like, do you understand? But now that she
yeah,
has, said, oh, didn't you read? And oh, there's an instruction there. Oh, thank you. That kind of thing. And it just ends there. Like, some people are just like, yo, you just have to. Um, but I mean, if receiving like harsh feedback, personally, I wouldn't even regard the person as. I'll say thank you, obviously. Like knowing what I know now, I'll tell the person thank you. But I prefer it like you come from a place of like having your stuff together because it's I just feel it's unnecessary to use. Like for example, be with that waiter situation, and telling the waiter, "Oh, your food is rubbish." It's unnecessary. Like say exactly what it's better if
needs
you
to be
think like, "Oh,
fixed.
this thing is too salty." It's too distant than to just say, "Oh, it's just rubbish." Like the person
I,
doesn't.
I, I yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think another way to say it is to soften the landing, right? One way I've learned is to say something like, oh, I feel like, I think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
mm,
that actually works too. Yeah, true, true.
mm,
Yeah, because now it's not like, oh, you're an expert, but you're just saying, have you thought about this? Or
bruh,
can you
yeah,
think about this? You're
exactly.
not coming like, oh, you're the experts in the room, that kind of thing. Even though you might be a chef, or whatever, but still, like giving that helpful feedback is
And then people have talked about this sandwich method where you
mm,
find what is good about the situation and
mm,
lead with that,
mm, mm.
right?
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't take
yeah.
it as a personal attack. They just see it as something
Mm,
very objective and descriptive.
mm, mm.
This is what I like, this is what I don't. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you remember, like he mentioned about like when the lady was defending him, right? Like trying to protect his image. And I think that
Mm,
was where he deployed that sandwich method the way he was like, oh, I appreciate you so much for looking out for me and
oh,
protecting my
mm,
dignity, but you don't have to
mm,
tell it, but you have to tell the truth.
mhm.
That kind of
So
thing. So
it doesn't come off as you don't appreciate the effort or the
yeah,
intention in the
yeah,
first place. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm pretty sure she got the message. The message
Yeah.
is we have a certain standard the way we do, the way
Mm,
the way I operate, and
okay.
I would like that we operate that way,
Mm,
because it's if one thing breaks, then it kind of has a trickle down effect on like all the other parts of things, and then
mm,
everyone starts to do things a certain way, and there's a lot of inconsistencies and all that stuff. So I agree. It's such a enjoyable topic so far, honestly.
yeah.
Enjoyable.
I'm wondering why the topic is something about habits and then the number one reason why you're not succeeding because they've talked about
Mm.
different things.
Yeah.
They've talked about finding your why. So I'm really wondering What's the main
Should I,
topic?
should I answer your question?
Shut talk.
I think the second one might be the reason. Like, I'd like to lead you the first one. The first one is that I feel like they don't always know what to actually title some of these episodes. Honestly, like
Okay.
they actually don't know what exactly to title is that they just title it anything
Mm,
that comes to mind. I'm telling you. Because me, so I'm wondering, like looking at it now, I'm like, or another thing is that they just pick one part of maybe the episode,
mm,
and then they just highlight that one. So
mm,
it's sometimes it's very difficult because I've noticed that trend with a lot of them. Like it's not like a lot of them, but the ones that don't make this particular mistake are the ones that usually they will list a couple of things instead of titling.
mm.
So those ones to me
Exactly.
are always like they
Give
kind of
more contexts.
yeah, because instead of just making it why you are the way you are, when yes you spoke on that, but like the bulk part of the conversation is so diverse that you guys didn't really it wasn't just that
Mm,
one thing, right?
mm.
So yeah. And this
So it
guy is
can
notorious for this stuff. This Dario is here guy actually. When I think about it, he's notorious for it.
in a clickbait now.
Yeah, actually. I mean, there are copywriters working overtime too, so
Mm,
which is that one is the actual reason go. The people doing this thing. I want to capture attention and all that. They're
mm-hmm.
the ones doing this thing. So
Yeah.
it's what it is, yeah.
Walking around asking each other what they think of each other.
Now,
Simon said you got to be honest.
right, but there's ways of doing it, right? Like so,
Please pause.
do the
Yeah.
So I think the point of this particular advice about seeking feedback is because they started by talking about how he found his why and
Mm,
how he had a friend who discovered that something was off, right? And then he started to talk about how we are social animals. We need people who can see our blind spots
yeah.
and people who we can be vulnerable with on our
Mm,
journey to finding purpose and all that. So I think
mm,
he's talking about the general idea of being in a community that gives you feedback and can like you can reach out to the way he reached out to his friend to say, I'm going through this, I'm going through that on my journey, and then he finds more clarity and more insight. So now it's just like, okay, how can you receive feedback and how can you give it? So I think a lot of he's tying a lot of purpose, a lot of the idea of purpose to community and to say that your life like finds more meaning in the context of community and how to interact in such communities. So I think that is like the overarching um topic here. Just I
mm.
just thought about it now.
Yeah. I actually need to go back to that part where you just said all those things and see where it came from and see where like how it links to what he's talking about now. Because
Mm,
he's anytime I listen to this guy, like he's he kind of like reawakens that part of like me that has that quest for trying to gather people together.
mm,
Like so like whether it's like in form of it might be like in this watch party now, like
mm,
uh the goal is to find a way to bring people together to enjoy something together. Like because I always
yeah,
feel like it's always better when we experience stuff together. Like so I anytime I listen to him, like his underlying message is always about like community, community. And I've noticed like even listening to Michelle Obama's podcast so recently, like if people actually listen to the underlying message, you find out that she's preaching, the brother is preaching the same thing, the sister is preaching the same thing, kind of the guest, but they don't really like go in that like, but majorly if you actually listen to the behind the jokes, behind the you see that these people are telling you go and build your own community, gather your people, enjoy things together. You know, I mean, imagine a brother and a sister coming together to do a podcast. It's just common sense. Like common sense will tell you, oh, this is magical. Like like they came together, did something together. They wanted to experience something together. And to be honest, I've even heard of how it has built, like it has made their relationship stronger. And now there's people forming around their podcast, you know, you know, other folks still doing their own thing, trying to bring their people together and all this kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, we actually need each other, to be honest. And things on everybody to just do a better job with finding ways to bring people together, like finding meaningful ways. Like in this part of this chapter, like or this next um my life moving forward, like I feel like that's what I want to dedicate my life to projects that are centered around like bringing people together to have an experience. Like I don't care whatever that thing is. Like it's so if I find myself in like church, I'll find a way to like, find a way to
Galvanize people.
find a yeah, bring a community out of it. I don't know what that community look like. Maybe a round table of like, oh, um, maybe we're watching Christian movies together, or like just find a way. Like this for me, I just feel like there's always a way. Like there's just always a way to galvanize people. Like there's just always like even this whole podcasting. So I've thought about how that we can because I want to feature my dad like very soon.
Oh,
Yeah, I told him about it the other day. I was like, oh, I should schedule a time, and he's like, okay, we're going to do this. So I plan to do it for my whole family. Like we just come together, watch like a maybe movie or like a podcast together, and then in between we'll have conversations around it. Like, but basically the idea is just like bringing our people together. Honestly, finding our ways to bring our people together. I think is it's just a um magical part of life that the old people used to enjoy, a lot of
mm.
that. And we can try to find a way to use digital technology or whatever is in front of us, like whatever physical or digital, finding ways to like bring ourselves together and enjoy experience together and all those things. And so much, for me, I feel like the reason why because like I said, when I listen to this guy and listen to some of these folks that talk about like the underlying message is always like community and finding your people. For me, like one of the reasons why I want to do more of it is because I've seen how that it can create ripple effects that I did not even think about. You know, so for the football group, there's one Manchester football group that I randomly opened when I was in Babcock, right? At first, it was just like a couple of me and some Babcock guys in it. And now it has become this place where like it's insane amount of people there, but like I don't even know almost all the people there again. But like I'm hearing of stories how that one bro they are helping each other, they are supporting each other. Like some of them I don't even talk to them, but like I know somebody out of all of them that will come and tell me, oh, this person is doing this, like they're supporting this person in this way. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you serious? In this same group?
Mm.
I'm like, wow. So there's just so much that can happen if you can find a way to hold
Bring
space
people
for like
together.
our people. Yeah, because it's not just about like, but it's about the things that can happen. Like we just don't know. Like so many things are just possible. There's healing, there's laughing together, there's smiling together, there's enjoying together, there's learning together, there's um teaching together, just too much. Like there's just so much, elders or younger, or it doesn't matter, but like just bringing our people together honestly is it will be something that I've told myself that I need to find things. So whether it's even I'm selling pure water, hmm? Even if I'm selling pure water, I will find a way to make all the people that are buying pure water from me to find a way to bring them together, like using that pure water. That pure water is just the smoke screen, but it's just to find a way to bring those people together so that they can experience things together. They can feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves. And so I'm just looking for those opportunities really. Like whatever it is I find myself doing these days, I'm thinking of, oh, how does this bring people together? Does this bring people together? Okay, is there a potential for this to bring people together? Then I will do it. But if I don't see how it can like touch the life of somebody else and then bring people together, I most likely will not like get involved in such things nowadays. So yeah, that's why I enjoy. To be honest, I've never even listened to this guy in a while. If not for you, I haven't listened to this guy in a very long time. But like, just listen to him now, and he always like I treats the same thing and says, "Oh, your people." It's always about people, your people, bringing people together. Even though he doesn't see it, and that might not even be his like primary message, but like you can actually hear it if you're paying close attention. You hear how he's preaching it. So, yeah. You want to say something?
Honestly, right, everything you're saying makes sense to me.
Mm,
It's just something that for the longest time, I've even told my friends about it a couple of times.
mm,
I've not really hacked this friendship and community thing. I
mm,
think part of it is like just being hurt a couple of times growing up, and
mm,
me just being in my shell, and
mm,
I don't know, be part of me is just scared of opening up and all. But like,
mm.
I don't know. To be honest, I thank God for ERM
Yeah.
because ERM has really, really helped me. Like outside ERM,
Mm,
so maybe this, validates what you're talking about, how, you always love to bring people together. Because to be honest, outside ERM, I've really looked at it though.
mm,
I don't know anybody that's like we can just talk and, I don't. It's
mm,
usually just hi hi, or I know them within specific contexts,
mm,
reply
mm,
WhatsApp status,
mm.
you know,
The
from
the
why
reply
you they laugh,
WhatsApp status team is crazy.
right?
The team that replies WhatsApp status.
So,
That's crazy.
and I like sometimes I think about it, and I feel like it's a problem because people that I have on ARM, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I met these people virtually, right?
yeah, yeah. Mm,
I'm like, okay, I've never even seen these people like face to face, that kind of thing. So, but like, I don't know. All through school, same
mm,
thing, right?
mm, mm,
I knew a couple of people,
mm,
but I didn't have who I could call, you know, it's my person. I had people in fellowship, I had people in class, right?
mm,
So, yeah, I'm still looking forward to it anyways.
Like looking forward to what exactly?
To building this whole um community thing, friendship
Mm,
thing. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, I think I would say the same thing honestly. Like,
For yourself.
yeah, it's more of like the I don't know the vision of a friend that I have in my head feels like I've not been able to like actually replicate it
Hmm.
here. Like it just feels like there's a couple of especially with like male friendships, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I feel like that industry called male friendships
No
is
be small industry, bro.
it
Ah,
needs
God, I
to
beg.
it needs serious revamping, honestly. That
Mm.
industry needs to be, it needs serious shaking and shaking and
Mm.
shaking from the bottom to the top and then back to the bottom and then to the top.
I agree with you.
Because I feel like, man, it's just there's just there's just walls
Hmm.
and I don't know, I feel like there's also the part where energies, maybe you meet somebody but like the energies don't match
Hmm.
exactly, or like, they just, it's just for me, like, I have people, but I cannot really see like friends per se. Like, I just have people. I have guys. I
Yeah,
have, yeah, I have ladies that I can actually, reach out to, but there's no, like, I haven't really built depth with like anybody, you know.
that's
It
the
just
word.
feels like, yeah, we're just there here and there and
Mm.
there, but I have not really built like solid depth with one person, you know. So it's kind of, yeah, but I mean, I'm still on still, like, I'm not just going to let that to also stop me from, building the spaces that can help that to happen. So even if
Mm.
that doesn't happen for myself, but it happens for somebody else, or they find like, because like, for example, the group I was talking about, like, people have become like brothers, blood brothers on day, and I'm like, where I did when all these things dey happen.
Mm.
I did build like connections with different people, but there's no depth with like one person. I say, oh, you like, sure, I sabi your papa, I sabi your mama. No, I don't even know all of like them like that. Do you understand? So, but some of them have built that depth that they're even going to each other's houses. Ah, I'm like, waiting in this in this same group. So I'm okay with knowing like that, even satisfy me more, knowing that that is happening for somebody else, even if I am not experiencing that yet. And I hope that I would experience that. But if I can still, I'm able to build that space and hold space for like people for that to happen, man, that for me is just a lot of joy, honestly. I don't even care if that is not happening for me or not, but like just to see how is lighting people, or people are finding connections that they would not necessarily have found somewhere else, that that for me is life changing, honestly. It is. But I do hope that I find, build like that kind of depth someday. Because I see it's very important to have to, um yeah, especially, I don't know if to say, especially like when it comes like having like a romantic relationship,
Mm.
eventually having a family. You want to have like guy friends, your
Do you
male
get?
friends that you can, rub minds with, that are
Mm.
outside of your, just your partner. You just don't want to just be only your partner, that,
Yeah.
because like somebody said, I don't know who said, I think it was one of those, yeah, one of the podcasts I was listening to of, on Michelle Obama's podcast, which they were talking about how that a partner cannot like do everything for
Mhm.
you. And so you still need like people, like certain people um to help in other areas,
Mm.
because your partner will just not be able to satisfy you in all, so like a lot of areas. So it's also
Mm.
good to have like those people outside of your marriage relationship. So as I'm going through the process of like searching for my possible partner, I'm also
Mm.
like, you know, keeping that in mind of knowing that, I need guys, you know,
Mm.
you know, three, two, three guys, and are solid guys that I can always rub minds with, and yeah, hopefully I find. Hopefully it becomes that. I build the depth required for it. But yeah, it is what it is. Till then we'll keep building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These jeans make me look fat. I like the other jeans much better. They're way more flattering. Right? You don't have to hurt people. Also, timing. Right? So, a true story. So, I went to see a friend's play, and I could not wait for this thing to end. It was so bad. And I went out, to say hi to her after the performance. And she came out. She was still in costume and makeup. And she knows I'm an honest broker. She cares about she knows I'll always tell her the truth in these kinds of things. And she says to me, "What did you think?" Now is not the time and place. She's pumped up full of adrenaline. And now is not the time for me to give her a critical evaluation of this god awful performance. And so I sidestepped the question, but said something true. I said, it was such a treat to be here, to see you do your thing. I've been wanting to see you on a stage forever, and it was so much fun to see you on the stage. All of that was true. The next day, when the adrenaline had come down, and I called her up and said, "Can I tell you what I thought about the play?" She goes, "Yeah, of course." And I told her critically, piece by piece, what I thought about it and how bad it was. We had a perfectly rational conversation about it. Didn't hurt her feelings. The day before, I would have really hurt her feelings. So not everything has to be, we mistake being honest with being honest now. No, I can't lie, and I have to answer the question, but I can answer it tomorrow when the conditions are better for that message to be received.
What is so
this this thing I think is way more important in relationship. I think so. I think like this point you just made now is more valid
Yeah.
when you are in a relationship here, because I like to think that I'm kind of like sometimes too straightforward with an answer, that
Hmm.
I'm not thinking through. Oh, like I don't have to be, not like I don't have to be honest, like you said, but I can kind of like I can misdirect it in a way. So instead of like um let's say my partner buys a dress now, and or should I use a dress? But I honestly didn't really like it. I can
Hmm.
say, oh, it looks good on you. Like I don't know if it looks good on you means that doesn't mean that I like it, right? But at
Okay.
least just sharing the joy of the person now, because obviously there's like you said, adrenaline, the person is pumped, and you don't want to be like you just pour cold water, on someone's joy like that kind of thing. So it's like, oh, can I see oh, it looks amazing on you. Like I bet if you match it with this particular shoe, have you tried to dye your favorite shoe? And then maybe the next day I can actually now see what I really want to see, because I've actually heard this thing before about ladies, um, like just relationship psychology and all these things. How that the next day they would actually be open to, or even another time they'll be open to actually hearing your honest feedback at that point, because now it's no more a thing of you didn't actually ruin their joy when it mattered the most, right? Like you actually you said the truth, but now you can actually now see what you wanted to see later on.
Hmm.
And that's something that is so true in relationship, because I remember I missed that a lot. I messed up with that thing a lot when I was in the relationship, because the other times I was too honest now,
Hmm.
instead of
Be
actually just
patient.
letting the person
There's patient,
enjoy the
honest.
moment. Yes. Enjoy the moment. And I think you that was something you shared in like a post recently, right? Did you
Yeah, yeah,
just
you can patiently take steps. Yeah.
yeah. Patiently take steps. Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't have to be right now, but like it can be the next day. it can be, oh, babe, do you remember that clothes the boss that the
I
honestly,
wanted to say
yeah.
one thing that came to my mind was now I'm completing your sentence.
Hmm. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I see. Yeah, I feel like that this thing actually applies more. I feel like it applies more in relationship, to be honest. But it could apply everywhere too. It's just that, it's more like, especially with ladies, when they ask you something, you think that they're actually asking you for your honest feedback. Meanwhile, they just want to be validated, right? Or they just want to enjoy that moment and they want to share that moment with the person they care about, like his friend, and how you say, oh, like he has been looking forward to seeing her on stage, which is, I mean, it's true. Like looking forward to seeing her on stage doesn't mean that the person performed great. Like there's two differences, right? So yeah, just finding ways to. But it's funny, like how does one think about all these things in real time? That's just what my challenge is. Like it's nice in theory, but like when the thing happens right in my face, like how do I pull from that distance and say, oh, okay, this is what's playing out right now. How do I deploy this thing? That's usually my own challenge, honestly. Above all things, like it's a challenge that you know, yeah. So that's just the major challenge. How do
Exactly.
I?
I feel like some of these things, just like the way you responded to that lady that was rude to you at the filling station.
Mm,
Um, I think exposing your mind to the right kind of content,
mm,
uh, it sort of like
oh,
starts to influence you
mm,
subtly and
mm,
subconsciously. That's the word I'm trying to use,
mm,
right? And um, you would
mm,
not know, for instance, when there's an adrenaline rush, you don't know what you can do in the moment, right? How fast you could go, how high you could climb, you
mm,
know, how quickly your reflexes can be. And,
mm,
you know, maybe you've been watching movies, action movies that, make you think, oh, a moving car
mm,
is coming, I can jump this high,
mm. Yeah.
something like that. So those things, you may not always know when you've changed or,
Mm,
you know, change is not always obvious until like there's something that makes it obvious, right? There's a situation or
mm,
circumstance that makes
mm.
it apparent.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Mm,
yeah,
mm,
you these things it may just look like okay, I'm just watching it, and then one day you are facing a situation, and then you just respond impromptu with something that you're like, I said that, that's cool. Like, where did I get that from? Right.
mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Because exactly that experience from that day, honest to God, I left that place that day feeling like way better about myself than I feel, because I was like, I've always wanted to stand up for myself.
bruh.
But I just haven't done it well enough. But this one happened like, and I didn't even, the moment I saw it happen, I quickly responded to it. And so it was kind of new to me. I was like, wow. It just came out. I was like, oh my goodness, like that is
Well,
very pleasant. So I was
you already.
yeah, like, I was talking to myself, throughout, like when I left the filling station, I was like, wow. I'm telling you, like I drove that drive back home that day was such a funny drive. I thought about it the whole time, like, wow, guy. No, kudos to you, man. Like for real. Like
But
I was
you never strike me as someone that will hesitate to speak your mind.
because that's funny. I actually do. Like at least I did a lot until now. I'm just trying to practice it now because it also feels like maybe age too has kind of, with
Hmm.
time, some things are becoming you know, much more important.
Hmm.
to start to enforce
Yeah.
instead of waiting a longer time to do it. So yeah, I would say age mostly, to be honest, because a year ago I probably not be able to do that stuff that I did that day. But
Mm.
yeah. But it was quite an experience. Like honestly, it was very eye-opening. I was really surprised. Like I will not even lie, I was very surprised at it. And yeah, it was one of those moments that I look back on and say, wow. And honestly, I thank her because now she has given me even more confidence, right? To be able to do it like so you see, like it's crazy. Like the most negative, you can find the most positive things and the most negative things, which is so strange because it's like that was supposed to be something to do look back, like there's nothing there. But like when I reflect on it, I'm like, wow, like at least I was able to speak up for myself, which is a good thing. That's something I need to keep championing for myself and my future self, and even those around me to let them speak up for themselves and stand up for themselves. So yeah, quite an eye opener of an experience, really. I'm telling you. Yeah, but yeah, been a challenge, but working on it. Working on it.
Insidious, or what is so harmful? What is the long-term negative impact of creating that culture of lying within teams and within ourselves?
Wait,
Well, there's this
Prince, what time are you going to bed?
I was supposed to go to bed by 1,
Okay.
but yeah, but maybe I can go to bed 2:30.
Mm-hmm. What's the time right now?
This is 1:57.
1:57. Okay. Yeah. Because I was just thinking about it. I was like, I hope Prince is not killing himself.
I've
Over
actually
staying.
I've, I've actually felt sleepy at some point, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, actually. Anyway, yeah,
psychological
yeah, when it's once
phenomenon, I guess,
I'll be looking at my
called
time,
ethical
please.
fading, which can grip an organization's culture, where people within that culture become capable of making highly, highly unethical decisions, believing they were well within their own ethical frameworks, right? So, extreme examples are things like pharmaceutical companies who have a patent on an essential drug. And in order to meet or beat some financial projection, they raise the price of that essential drug 100%, 500%, 1,000%, 1,500%. Totally legal. There's nothing illegal about that. Really unethical, right? And in organizations that suffer ethical fading, it almost always, if not always, starts from the top. It's usually a leadership problem. It comes from excessive amounts of pressure to hit certain short term goals to the point where doing it ethically becomes more and more difficult. And so, what creates ethical fading is a series of things. One of those things is we rationalize, right? We look for ways to distance ourselves from the impact of our decisions. We say things like, it's what you got to do to get ahead. It's what my boss wants. Everyone's doing it. It's the system. I don't have a choice, right? And there are ways we can disassociate our responsibility, right? So rationalizing is a big part of it. Another part is the old slippery slope. You did it once, you did it a little bit, it worked. We raised the price 10%, nobody even noticed. Great. Do it again. Do 20% this time. Try 100%. And it just keeps going and going and going and going before you have full-blown ethical fading. And some of the things are excessive use of euphemisms. Again, we're using language to disassociate ourselves from the impact of our decisions. So, for example, we in the United States would never torture, but enhanced interrogation sounds very appealing, right? Or companies would never spy on their customers, but data mining, yeah, no, we're really into that, right? We're just using different language to mask the insidiousness of our real decisions. Like everybody talks about managing externalities, but we don't talk about the damage we're doing to the people and cultures, environments of the places where our offices and factories are located. Why don't you have that conversation? And so when you have enough of those things, ethical fading shows up where you now have real issues. And in the extreme, you have massive scandals. Sometimes it leads to illegal activity, but usually it's just unethical scandals. And when those things happen, management is dragged out and they talk to the newspaper or to the law. And they always say the same thing, which is we broke no laws. Everything we do is legal. No, we don't have an issue with the law. We have an issue with your ethics. But when you don't have, when it's not full blown, it just becomes an incredibly uncomfortable and a horrible place to work. That increases stress to the point where you'll do damage to your own health and you'll do damage to the way you treat your family. Because when you're into that kind of stress to violate your own ethics at work, you're going to come home, you're going to take it out on your spouse and your kids. You're going to kick the dog. You're not going to be motivated to do much except sit on the couch and watch TV. You know, so it has some pretty insidious impact in the lives of human beings.
I was thinking of it as well in terms of romantic relationships. One little white lie becomes another little white lie, and then a couple of, a year.
It's one of the reasons why I feel like God didn't want me to, like, why I'm not like out there with copywriting and influencer, this whole influencer marketing I was doing at the time. It's because I just wasn't buying a lot of stuff that people were selling. I just wasn't. While I had I might have the skill or like how to do it. I'm like, guy, like this doesn't seem right, man. Like even me say like I mean no, like he just you know he just doesn't feel right, man. Like yes, I guess make like he's bringing money, but it was just I'm like guys, some of these products, man, like you know, but it is what it is, sharp. Like you said, I mean, sometimes you're just in a phase where you just have to do what you have to do, and that's just to be honest. Except like God opens another door, and some people have been just like me. They took it and they've gone with it, and they've built a whole career out of it, and they're living. They have money, they have the name, they have the resources, they have people, they have everything. But like when I look back now, I'm like, come on, yeah, I thank God like my life is the way it is. Yeah, because it's finding a way to like God is literally finding a way, and that's why like I love how jollof rice started, and even though like it might not even be in the future, right? It might not, it might just not be something that part of the vehicles that God is using in the future, but like it has come to show me how that God is a chef. Like if there's anything jollof rice has taught me is that now I kind of get the message, why I had to go through jollof rice, because it's like God is the master, like the guy the cook, no be see anything. The guy the the guy the kitchen 247. So it's like that idea of like how God is in the kitchen the whole time and doing his thing and shaping my life into the way it's supposed to be, and not cutting corners, not doing all the things that I don't necessarily like. My soul, like really, really deep down, doesn't really buy into it. Even though it will be, I've been profitable at the time to get into it and be fully involved. But like, I'm just glad the way God has taken me, the journey that God has taken me so far is not through something that I would have to be worried when I go to bed at night. Like I do honest work is like for me is way more satisfying for me. And if this is how God is, shaping my life, and honestly I cannot even fault it honestly, because yeah, I think about it, I'm like, because all those copywriting deals and influencer marketing deals, like there was huge opportunities to just really, really dive into those things, be who I'm not, you know, and get all the getables from it. But God wasn't having it that way. Oh. God wasn't having it that way. And it's funny. And that person will be in this my same position, right? And we'll see how that God provided those ways. So, and he validates his scriptures, passages from the Bible, and visions. He used to back it. So it's like, why that way might have been his own way. It's probably just not my own way. Like God is just not having me go through that particular this thing. We're serving, obviously we're serving the same God, but to each their own. To each their own.
Passes, and you're so unaligned and so far from your truth that
Yeah.
you're resentful that you're having to keep up with this set of lies. I mean, we talked about it with a guest on this podcast before. One of the mistakes I made in my relationship at the start was I would say yes to things that I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
So I created this culture and this like expectation where my partner thought I loved doing X activity at 6 a.m. in the morning because I'd always said yes and I'd always pretended to like it. Now I have to live out that life of something I do not enjoy
Right.
doing because I lied at the
Right.
start. And the journey back is not always so easy when you've.
Yo,
I've made the same mistake on the other side, which is after I broke up with someone when we maintained a friendship and I started dating somebody, or at least started dating, but I didn't want to hurt the feelings of this person that I still care about that we broke up, a couple months before.
God,
And so I would avoid the conversation, but if she said, "Are you dating anybody?" I'd say, "No, not really." And it's not because I wanted to lie, it's because I don't want to hurt her. Like the intention, of course, is positive. But what I learned later is all of those little lies meant that she was holding out hope that wasn't there. And by the way, it's been done to me as well. I'm holding out hope that's not there because someone didn't want to hurt my feelings. And I would rather just have the uncomfortable conversation. Are you dating somebody? You are. Okay, well, that hurts, but I can heal. I can move on. And, again, this young generation, because of all the reasons we've talked about and more, seems to exhibit the traits of being very conflict avoidant, very uncomfortable with uncomfortable. That has some impact that are sometimes funny, quote unquote, but always tend to make somebody feel more lonely. So, for example, and I've seen this happen, I've heard about these stories so many times. A young employee who may feel they're in line for a raise, but is so uncomfortable to go to their boss and ask for a raise that they just quit, that they would rather quit than have an uncomfortable conversation. And then sometimes it is followed by an angry email that says, "I'm undervalued, you don't appreciate me, you underpay me," you know? And I've heard it happen so many times where the leadership is like, what? We would have happily, like, I'm sorry, we were either planning on giving you a raise, we'd happy to give you a raise, And it's really uncomfortable to walk in your boss's office and be like, "Hey, I'm working really hard. Can I have a raise, please?" Now, the time you do get to quit is when you've had this conversation 4, 5, 6 times and you've seen nothing and had no feedback and had no impact. Then absolutely you quit. And absolutely you say, "You undervalue me, you underappreciate me, underappreciate me. We've had this conversation 5 or 6 times." Then it's their fault because they had all the information. But again, it's really funny how many young kids they would rather quit than have a difficult conversation, or they'd rather break up than have a difficult conversation.
Okay. Speaking of difficult conversations, right? My fear is that if I say this thing, those people are going to watch this thing. But anyway, and I think I've already asked this question before. Let's say there's a particular set of people that you don't necessarily want to keep in touch, right? I guess maybe they've like maybe in the past, like you guys were, they yeah very well and stuff, but you've seen how that relationship is not something you want to cultivate any longer, right? How do you, because they will reach out, obviously, you might not respond, this kind of thing. So how do you cultivate, how do you even have that kind of hard conversation? And say, oh boy, now I think they happen with this, you know, because I'm finding it so difficult. I really am. Wait, yeah, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that I've actually never had a conversation. I've always ghosted,
Mm,
and they eventually got the message. So,
mm,
and these are people like I never wanted to associate with anymore because like they had
mm,
bad reputation. I know of one that was scamming people,
mm,
like scamming people, right? And he had reached out to me a few times to help out with this, help out with that, but like he was so terrible. Church knew about him, and also I just cut off from him. Like
mm,
he would reach out, I will not. I will see that he reached out. I will not touch that message, right?
mm,
There's another one like that too, who in school days, and funny enough, this guy, this where I was very broke, who hustled together, buy
mm,
spag, you know,
mm,
he's the one who taught me how to do pepper spag. His name is
mm,
David, I think. But he started moving like this, like at some point, he just kuku left me, started moving with some of our guys who were Yahoo boys then in school, and he had
mm.
already like moved on,
One of the rails.
like moved on only for after school. Maybe some of them had graduated. He's now maybe the only one. He's now reaching out. I was like, no, like there is nothing I can like because I knew that it was not going to be the first time, and also that he would be reaching out, and also like I've had few like stuff like that where nah,
Mm,
I don't see a viable future with this person. Like
yeah.
I don't actually see it. This one is not, you don't know who this person will be tomorrow. Like bro, even if there are something, I don't want to be in, in I don't telling my life's journey. Realize I don't want them to be inside, even if there's something.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's it too. Ah,
Oh, that one is deep, bro.
yeah,
That one is very deep, bro. Like you said, you don't want to do this. When you're telling your life journey, you delete that part out. Oh,
uh,
those people, they really offend Prince. Oh. But in more serious note, I'm not sure they offended you, but it's just what it is, Jerry.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, ghosting is always the easy, like
It's very easy.
it's easy to do it, but I'm like,
But
is it?
sometimes it's like cowardice, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's like, why don't I just tell these persons that, oh, but I don't know what to say, and I don't know how, and this is one of those things that I don't know what to say that will not. I don't know. Is the lines of like thinking that I'm coming off rude or like
It's
not?
it's easier if it's easier for me if it's a situationship you want to come out from, maybe with the opposite sex.
Yeah,
It's that one
yeah,
is very easy.
yeah.
I found it to be easier to say, look,
Mm,
this thing,
mm,
this is how it is doing me. I don't want
mm,
it to keep doing me like this. I think we need
mm,
to create space, blah
yeah,
blah blah. You
mm.
know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
and to be honest, that just creates. If I just having that conversation alone, it just creates the space automatically. Like,
Yeah,
they get the message. Everybody gets the message. Everybody complies. Straight,
yeah.
you know. But I guess to work for friendships too, like, or like things that like connections, not for friendships, but like. So the reason why is that I just feel like I also owe these people like, you know, why it seems like I'm out of reach.
Mm,
Hmm. So that was why, because I thought about lying and I'm like, guy, like it doesn't make sense, like
mm.
to lie and say, oh, I mean, it's been work, is this, is that, but like just being honest and saying I'm in a different place, but I don't know how that's going to come. Like, I haven't constructed the message. I'm like, I know it's just going to come off for. I don't want to have to do it over the phone too. That's another thing. So I've
Mm.
thought about, you know what? I'll just send the message, and I know that that connection is, and that thing is also the feeling of feeling like, what if I'm losing something like valuable?
Sure.
So that's another feeling of like, guy, how about not giving up something of value and just sending it to the abyss?
Mm.
So there's that too. But eventually I have to face it, man. To be honest, I have to face it and
Yeah.
let them know what's going on. Mm-hmm.
Station. Or
Yeah,
worse,
almost
they'd
time.
rather ghost someone than break up with them because it's really uncomfortable to have a fight and a breakup and call each other names. It's much easier to just turn off all the social media, unfollow everywhere. I know we've been dating for 6 months, but I'm just going to now ignore every text, ignore all your calls, and think about it we talk about service. Think about the service or disservice we do the other person from their point of view. It's like you got in a car accident. It's like you were just killed. It's like you just disappeared off the planet. That is trauma because you're uncomfortable to have an uncomfortable conversation. You would do that to another person. So service goes both ways, which is I will make myself uncomfortable and have a difficult conversation, even if I bumble it and screw it up and it ends up being a screaming match, because that is a better option than traumatizing a person where they have to believe that first of all, that I've died because they can't get hold of me, the panic. And then when they realize I'm alive because they see me on Instagram, that now I've destroyed their self confidence. How dare somebody do that to another human being because you're just a little uncomfortable of having an uncomfortable conversation? Where we can help is we can teach people how to have uncomfortable conversations. That is a skill set. We don't teach leaders how to have uncomfortable conversations. We don't teach students how to have uncomfortable conversations. We don't teach, we can teach these things all over the place. And I think it's a big gaping hole in curriculum. We teach, maths and we teach English, but we don't teach social interaction. We don't teach listening. We don't teach how to have uncomfortable conversations. We don't teach how to give and receive feedback. You know? Now you tell me which is going to be more valuable for the rest of your life. How to have a difficult conversation or trigonometry.
Come on, I have to have a
Yeah.
difficult conversation.
And
Ah.
shouldn't we be, shouldn't we be preparing people for life?
Yeah.
I had a few words to say about one of my sponsors.
I agree. Like so much. That's a. I think that puts a full stop on like our watch for the day, because like how do you learn, how do you even learn to how do you even teach those things? That's the thing. I wonder how you teach it, because they just put people in groups and like they make up stuff and you know, or you paint scenarios, or like, oh, you're the friend that you've been friends for long, but you disappeared and you don't want to hear from this person. This person has tried reaching out to you, they've called you, texted you, but you're not responding, and now they've assumed that you've died or something has gone wrong with you, and now you guys have come to that point and one of you wants to have that conversation with the other person. How would you start it? So if they put people in groups like that and they have them, run those kind of experiments, maybe that's what it looks like. I don't know. But honestly, that would have been so much of a valuable skill to carry to leave school with than silly maths that I have no business with like right now. Like for real.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why Loki, I kind of wish that I went into arts and eventually maybe into psychology, just
Bam.
to, because I feel like those people are more equipped.
For
Not equipped
life.
for, not even equipped might not even be the word, because it doesn't mean that they don't. It doesn't mean like, because I don't want them to. I don't want it to seem like, oh, they come out and they're experts of life. No, because nobody's an expert of life. But like they've
Better
kind of
informed.
themselves in the arena. Like
Mm.
they've kind of like simulated
Wow.
certain things that will show up in the real world, like that the average person hasn't even thought about yet.
It's not ready for.
Do
Mm.
you understand that when the average person sees it, it's like, oh, like they don't even have a name for it, for starters. So person will not even get name for him. How does he even come to understand that? Wait, and that's why you find like people don't even know when they've done like some people do something wrong and like they don't even know that they did something wrong,
Mm.
because they don't even know what it is. Like they don't have a language for it, because they're not knowledgeable about it. So it feels like, oh, no, I didn't do anything wrong. If I don't have a language for it, then it's not in me to figure out. Like I feel like I'm okay, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, there's actually a language for it. Now you just know Sabian. So, but I feel like those people that have done just going through psychology and learning would have been such an eye opener about so many things about life, communication,
Yeah.
how people are, behaviors, tendencies, um, just different things, that skills that we need to use to navigate life. But it's just unfortunate. Even listening, like you said, that listening part, right, is something that I am trying to like actively work on. And the way I do mine is, if when I'm listening to somebody like in a conversation, I always try to like ask further questions, so that way the person knows. First of all, the person knows the signals that I'm engaged, and also it also helps me to understand other people, the collective, we as a collective, because that person is just like a representation of so many other people, right? So like if I'm understanding that person is thinking, like what's going on in their own world, there's a chance that I'm also understanding how so many other people are somewhere else, are living their lives and all those kind of things. So it's always the listening is still something really, really actively trying to work on, and but the listening is really difficult for like a lot of people. Like it's really, really difficult. Like you can be talking to somebody now. This is one of my guys that when I'm discussing with him, like he doesn't even know, and that it's one of those conversations I want to have with that guy. It's one of those uncomfortable conversations I want to have with him because if he continues with that behavior, I will be avoiding him. Like I will really be avoiding him because I noticed like he's very, when he has things to say, he's very engaged, obviously because he's talking, right? He's sharing things with you. I'm asking questions, but like the moment I'm sharing some things with him, I noticed that
Mm.
his attention span, you just didn't, like obviously he's not there. You know when somebody is distracted, like like, and I'm not seeing him. Obviously, he's on the phone. I can tell that he's doing something else, right? He's just saying just to make me feel like he's actually not listening. And how I always get him is that I will now ask him. I'll pause whenever I notice that thing. I'll just pause. I won't say anything for like maybe 20 seconds. So when he realizes that I'm just all of a sudden quiet, then he will now see something completely unrelated.
Hey, voila.
Then I'll not be like, I won't say anything. I'll just be like, hmm, hey, does this guy realize what he's doing? Like, I know, but I've not told him, but he does it a lot. And I'm pretty sure he probably maybe doesn't even know or something, but his listening he's very good at like sharing his own, but like when it comes to listening and staying engaged, asking questions, follow-up questions, like, oh, interesting, that's an interesting idea. Ask a follow-up question. I'll know that, oh, you're actually listening, but like all those, mm, 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 ooh. Then you just come and see something unrelated. I'm like, ah. Sometimes I even ask one question. You won't know that I've asked the question. You just say the again. I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Like he didn't even realize that I asked the question at that time. He still say I'm like, what is he question? So it's like the guy is listening needs serious help. But like giving him that feedback will actually help him to be like, oh, I've actually not thought about it through that way. But thank you, because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we need each other to to get better, to be more of who God has destined us to be, basically. So
yeah.
yeah, on that note, do you have any last words for our watch?
Mm,
Or is there something in your mind, rather?
I want us to finish this clip, this YouTube, on our
Mm.
next watch.
Yeah.
And actually got into a store recently, and I wanted to get this book by Stephen Bartlett, um, 33 Laws of Life and Business,
Oh.
33 Principles, whatever.
Mm.
I think I want to turn out like some of these guys in the future, where
Yeah.
I'm just a thought leader
Mm.
for like subject matter experts in some of these things. I don't know what it will be, right?
Mm.
Whether
Mm.
I'll be talking about content, whether I will be known widely for content creation or
Mm.
personal branding or
Mm.
career conversations.
Mm.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Right, right. But when I look at people like Simon Sinek, Stephen Ballet, and all these other guys, I'm just
Mm.
inspired by the fact that you can build a meaningful body of work,
Mm.
and you can now inspire many people with your
Mm.
like they're just sitting down and talking. This thing has millions of views, and it has inspired many people that they will never meet in their entire lives, right?
Mm.
And I don't know. I feel like like when I think of my life where, because I've thought about this many times, where if you never had to work another day in your life, like you had all the money, say you were the richest man in the world right now, Toby,
Mm,
and like you never have to work another day. Like you wake up, there,
mm,
there's you are Elon Musk, there's billions in your account. Like, what would you be doing for the rest of your life if you were never paid for it? Because you're already a billionaire. And I've thought about it, and to be honest, I've not thought about any of that other than the fact that I would love to like be in front of audiences, share my knowledge, my insights, my experiences, my stories, my messages, my ideas, and just inspiring, people to think differently about like different issues of life, and making meaningful decisions that like move the needle in their lives based off those kinds of
mm.
um stuff. So that's why I love listening to people like this, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because it just look like a picture of where I want to be at, right? Although me, I don't actually like interviewing people
Mm.
personally.
Yeah,
Right?
you say you personally love what?
I personally don't. I'm not the podcast. It's because of you.
Mm.
I'm watching. I'm more of the keynotes kind of person. Like I love
Ah,
listening to, yeah, like I would love listening to like TEDx speeches, keynotes here and there, right?
okay.
Yeah. Although
You
I
mean
have
TED Talks?
listened
You
to,
mean the TED Talks?
yeah, TED Talks. Yeah.
I
Although
see.
I like, so the speaking on stage is more of like where I see myself. I listen
Mm,
to podcasts like this
mm-hmm.
when I find the conversation, of course, is very interesting enough,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And all that. But I'm saying, like, if I'm to really choose, I will go
Mm-hmm.
for all those keynotes. Like, just speak to me.
Oh, you know, the
Like,
funny thing that as you said this now, right?
mm,
Like because I don't know if I think I mentioned it to you already that for me, I'm in the part of my life where everything is a clue,
mm,
right?
okay,
So I treat every like if I see something, it usually is always that like for example, like if I see something now, I hear something and it rings a bell. There's something I was already thinking about already. Like there is always just something that I've forgotten. And that
mm,
thing is just always there to remind me and be like, oh, guy, this thing has come again. Go and attack it now. Like, it's not for me. Okay, do I want to go and investigate why this clue showed up now or not?
yeah,
But that investigation sometimes can take, it depends on, so I'm choosing the ones that I choose to investigate. So, for example, this talk thing that you mentioned now, right?
mm,
It will make a lot of sense, actually. Like, because at the end of the day, the whole like podcast watch party thing is, I mean, it might even be a movie. For some people that I might like that I might get to do this thing with, it might be that it's a movie, but it's still a watch
mm,
party anyways. And I'll still call it a
mm,
podcast watch party as the umbrella name. But now that you mentioned the TED Talk thing, right? There's certain people that actually love this kind of keynote stuff. So instead of making it just podcast, it can be just about anything that you enjoy watching. Like because honestly, I
mm,
just imagine both of us listening to like and I think speaking of it, the next one should actually be like a TED, one of those TED, because first of all, it's short
yeah,
and there's always things in between. There's always at least
value,
something that
value
you
packed
want
in
to,
that short time. Yeah,
yeah, you want to talk about, like you want to address and be like, guy, have you thought about this thing? Have you thought about like this is how I'm thinking about this thing? This is how I'm thinking because I remember that Simon Sinek starts with why.
yeah,
That particular TED talk, TCD, that thing is like anytime I mistakenly just go back to it and I'm like, yo, ah, see how person the reason, bros. Like, see how
yeah,
person reasoning. And he built a whole like I don't know what to call it, but like a whole catalog of, or should I even say an industry,
Yep.
just an idea.
Yeah.
Ah, he's mad, dude. Like when you think about it, it's like starts is
It's
why
actually
it's
mad.
basically an Apple story. Like he literally built that that idea of like, oh, this is how
Yeah.
Apple. He just used Apple as the, his
Yeah.
springboard,
Yeah.
and from there he just took off. And so I'm just thinking like, almost, watching those kind of things to be very, 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 very interesting. Like the fact that it's short, and if you can gather like minds like to watch it together, and then we're like, wow, you know, and we can even share like even that thing alone can even inspire somebody. Like it might be like, oh, there's an idea you're thinking about, a
Yeah.
concept like you're thinking about sharing with other people, but you want to see how, like, you guys should tell me, like, give me feedback about this particular concept, so I'll know whether it's
Yeah.
something to go and investigate more on, right?
Yeah.
Something useful that I can take back and use and rework the idea, go and put more work into the idea, distill it for other people to learn more about it, blah blah blah. I feel like that will also be very, very useful and valuable, honestly. Like watching those kind of, I think I should also go back to, because I've been seeing them pop up on my YouTube sometimes, but like I haven't really. It's been a while I watched one.
Yeah.
It's been a while I watched one, but they are very. In fact, like there's some that the Sinek one, the one of there was one to that of companies, and the ones that faded off. That was another very memorable one. Um, just very, very amazing idealists on that stage.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, when you think about it, TED Talk, like, it sounds silly. Like, why would someone build a platform just for people to come be sharing ideas? But it's worked, you know. It turns out that people actually have things to share, like, and
Yeah.
they want to share their ideas. So it's it's yeah, we should definitely watch it on, like, one. We should definitely find one and watch, like, for sure.
Yeah.
That one I'll be down for sure. Because I didn't even think about that, but now that you see it, I'm like, wow, that would be interesting to actually watch, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I appreciate you even sharing that, because I at least now it's something to think about. Like, and this is what I appreciate about these things. Like, when we do some of these watch parties, like,
Yeah.
and then you ask the person, oh, what's on their mind, you know. But to me, it felt like like you're the one person that's giving like a very practical, like, something to think about, you know. That, wow, that's a very, very, because not just because it's short, but just because I generally like want to enjoy those kind of things, because it's very boring to me. Honestly, it's boring listening to those things, and not because the ideas are boring, but it's just that I'm exhausted, like, just having to experience things alone. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know. But when I'm
Mm.
experiencing with somebody else, you can say, oh, guy, have you thought about this thing like this? Like, it's just giving me things to think about. And
Mm.
the more we're able to, like, share ideas, exchange ideas, rub minds, like, there's just so much that can happen from those places. It can help in, like, lubricating other parts of our lives. Like, maybe there's a project that we're working on, and you know, just in that conversation, certain things that maybe in there for that particular project, like, or something you're not even thinking about, just comes over, like, wow, let me go try that in that particular area, and maybe that will work. So
Mm.
yeah, and that's why I'm so obsessed with the idea of, like, bringing, like, having people come together, because it's like, because just imagine, right, that you're sitting in that room where those TED Talk guys are, right? Like, you're sitting in the audience. Just imagine the kind
Yeah.
of quality of interactions that will be happening after the event. It's like, it will just be magical, guy. It will be an
Yeah.
experience of a lifetime. I'm telling you. So I feel like there's an opportunity, there's a space for people to come together and watch things like that together, and then also talk about, like, share the ideas on those things. We don't have to be in the room where those things are happening.
Mm.
Like, we can create our own room, we can create our own conversations off of those things, and then it still has the same, I believe it has the same effect as, being in that room with those people there, because it's just about having the same collective, like, what's it called, goal, collective mind, like-mindedness that brings
Yeah,
us together, and then we're able to, like, just do great things from there. Honestly, that's what I believe, though.
yeah,
That's what I believe. Yeah. So I'm glad that you actually brought that up, for real. I'm very, very glad. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good one, honestly. So I don't know if we should finish this one or we should just go to one of the TED Talk next.
no, we'll finish it though, yeah.
Okay. If you say so.
Mhm.
If you say so, then we will for sure. We will. All
Thank you.
right. Yeah. All right, to Omo. I appreciate the time, honestly. It's
Yeah,
always rewarding, just gisting, hanging out, and enjoying the things that we love together.
yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, appreciate. All right.